And so the tables are turning a little bit, and we have to work all the more harder just to keep a third of mankind from being deceived by him and staying true to the Lord. Because of his first rebellion, he actually has a total of 3 that he's been allotted. And he won't be destroyed until the third is up. And the third is up at the end of the millennial reign, when he is allowed, unleashed back on earth, to gather up armies against Jerusalem. You can read about it at the end of Revelation, how and it coincides with Ezekiel 37 and 38. Here's so many people, especially those who consider themselves prophecy gurus, Jack Van Impe, Hal Lindsey, all of them, refer to this Ezekiel war as one that's going to happen during the tribulation period. They'll describe it as Russia and Gog advancing on Jerusalem. And they're all out of timeline, folks, because that doesn't take place until after the millennial reign. That's the same war that John describes in Revelation at the end of the millennium, when Satan is unleashed on the earth for a short period of time. He gathers up his armies and he makes one final attempt, one final rebellion against the Most High. And that's all related together. And that's why people simply don't know where we are in a prophetic timeline, because when you've been brainwashed and brain-controlled your entire life to believe certain events are going to happen before Satan arrives on earth, and they don't happen, you're still waiting for them to happen. And so you don't realize where you are in the prophetic timeline. And so there's really, people ask me all the time, well, how do you know where we are, when Jesus arrives? That's, some of you are 7 years, some of you are 3.5 years, depending how long the tribulation period is. When he arrives, he has 42 months to rule, and then it's over, as far as he's concerned. So there's your timeline. Watch for him to arrive, because there's no mystery rapture. And it's almost a dangerous teaching in itself, because this whole rapture theory brought in by Paul and the RCC, because they knew that they could mimic that. I mean, if Satan comes to earth in these UFOs and he whisks about 100,000 people off the earth as prisoners in these UFOs, you're going to call it a rapture. There's your Christian rapture. They just took 100,000 people off the earth. And if you think I'm nuts, I was reading a book by Mary Kay Baxter, Divine Revelation of Hell. And I read this book years and years and years ago, before I was even in the alien agenda, before the Lord brought me over into this part, because I started off just doing New World Order, the New World Order agenda, and realized, well, they're hand in hand, because it's the aliens pulling the strings of the New World Order. Well, she talks about in her vision, she was taken, in her book, she describes, you can listen to the audio for free at SherryTalkRadio.com. She talks about for 40 days being taken to hell and given revelation about hell and writing down everything that the Lord showed her about it. And towards the back of that book, she talks about seeing UFOs entering down into hell and tons of people walking off and getting off of these UFOs. It's like, what are they doing on UFOs? There's your rapture, folks. Satan coming to take all these people off the earth, proclaim it's a Christian rapture. He's going to have his own fake rapture. And these people are going to be imprisoned in hell. They're not going to heaven. You're not going to a fifth dimension bliss. I mean, if you listen to all the garbage that the New Agers put out and all their rhetoric, they're always talking about how we're going to evolve into a fifth dimension. And he's going to take certain people off the earth to work with so that they can become ascended masters. And, every lie he can think of. But the truth is these people are just going to be hoarded up in these UFOs and taken to hell and dropped off. And, once you're there, you don't get out. There's no escaping it. I have an article on this. It's called 666. I can't even remember half the names of my articles, but if you go to my website, the 666, the Phony Seal of God Club, and talks about this fake rapture that the beast prophets and Satan all working together in cahoots for. And you got to wonder, how do they pull that off? Because of Kenneth Copeland and Benny Hinn and, the Blasphemous Beast Network, TBN, all these preachers that preach this pre-trib rapture, if the rapture comes and they're still here, then how are they here to say, well, that was the rapture of the Lord, folks? Because they're supposed to be Satan's cheerleaders on earth while he's here. They're the ones who are going to tell everybody, like Pat Robertson's already doing, oh, the chip's not the mark of the beast, and it's okay to get this chip. And he had the CEO of Very Chip on CBN a couple years ago, and he's just all for promoting this chip. And you're going to find all of them do that. Oh, this isn't the mark of the beast. This is just a chip. This is so we can organize our world economics and everybody and build God's kingdom on earth. And you know, they're all going to be Satan's cheerleaders promoting this chip. It says by deception. He deceives the people, folks. He's not going to come here and say, okay, get my chip or my tattoo or my mark on or in your right hand or forehead and join my kingdom. It's not evil. It's of God. And this isn't what the Bible refers to. They're going to outright lie to you people. They're going to lie. And you know what? The thing is the big mouths like me aren't going to be here during this time. We're long going to be dead. Dead and gone. Or protected by the Lord's hand. You know, either one. But we're not going to be able to pound the internet with what the truth is. You're not going to hear it at that time. You're going to be on your own. And there's going to be a lot, not on your own. You've always got the Lord. But the problem is so many of you are so comfortable in your deceptions and following these beast prophets and everything you hear on TV. Well, they said it on TV. They said it on TVN. It must be true. And so that's why I always encourage people, think for yourselves. Ask yourself questions. Don't accept what people say at face value. Ask yourself why you believe what you believe, because you're only going to be the one that's held accountable for you. It's you. You can't. You're going to stand in your own shoes for accountability. Anyway, I'm going to take a short break, and when I come back, I'm going to pick this up where I've left. Okay, I want to get back to this. I wanted to, because I always go off into rabbit trails, and I have so much info tonight, and it doesn't look like I'm going to get to half of it. Even a quarter of it. But yeah, Genesis chapter 1, read Genesis 1:27 through that. Different creation, a creation of the world by the Elohim God. And then in chapter 2, you have a creation of Adam and Eve and the Garden of Eden by our Elohim, which is Yahweh, but it makes a difference. It says Lord God. In the original translations, it also switches to his original name, which is Yahweh. Yehovah, switches to his real name. In this translation, just always kind of just uses the same general term, God. And that's why it's so important to learn his name and call him by his name, because there's God, the term God is generic. It's a generalization, a general term. It's an office. It's just like Christ. Christ is an office. It's a general term. Jesus was not his name. Jesus is Satan's name. And the church is worshiping this Jesus, and the Son of God, his name was Yahushua. And so you think, well, Jesus knows who I'm talking about, and I'm just going to keep calling him Jesus. Well, you know what? He has a lot of grace and mercy on his people. But once you know his real name, quit calling him Satan. And Jesus was another name for Satan. So quit calling him Satan. If you have a question for the show, you can send me emails at SherryTalkRadio at yahoo.com. Love that Ray Bolt song. Okay, that was The Anchor Holds by Ray Bolt. I play a lot of music on Tuesday nights on my show. During the day, I play a lot of recorded broadcasts, mix some music up with it. At nights, especially Tuesday nights from 6 to 7, I tend to play just a lot of music. Another thing I want to bring up is the fact of Enoch. Should it have been canonized? Yes, it should have. Because he's written 365 books. The one book they do have, they never canonized. They put it in the earlier versions of the Gospel, but not the final KJV. Sir Francis Bacon, Constantine approved version of what you can know and what you can't. Because most people won't go and do extra research on their own. But Enoch talks about, in the first 10 chapters, it's about, maybe 70 chapters of Enoch. I'm not real sure. I've only read it about 3 or 4 times. Kind of break it up into parts because there's 4 different areas that he addresses in his book.